What is going on, traders? This video won't be long, just going to go over some key levels and my plans on trading the market in the near future. But before we get into that, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. Now, today was pretty boring, right? It felt like Tuesday was basically Monday. And if you don't know, Mondays are usually our, lowest volume days. There usually isn't nothing happening on Mondays. Now, granted, yesterday was completely different. We had a huge drop or a decent drop yesterday as of Monday, and it felt like today was kind of making up for that. Now, granted, in my last video, I was expecting some type of retest to the upside. And we didn't get that at all. It was just pretty much consolidation, which also makes sense. Normally, when you have some huge dump or even a huge rally to the upside or either to the downside, the market tends to like cool down the next day. So I do expect some type of retest, and I would like to see this retest happen at least in the morning. Okay. And the reason why I would like to see that is, well, one, I'm in some calls. Well, just spy calls. We are in some spy calls. And two, I would like to get on a re-entry for further downside. If you don't know, my price target on the triple Qs is 422. And again, I am bearish short term on the market. Keywords is short term. So in case anybody comes here or new and they're like, oh, he's a perma bear. No. Short term, I'm only bearish. Long term, absolutely bullish on the market. So the move that I was kind of expecting today was one of these moves where we retest 436, we'll say 434, and then we go lower and start heading towards 422. Okay. But we didn't get that today, and that's completely fine. So my expectations heading into tomorrow, we don't have much news. We have like Fed members speaking in the morning. Maybe they have some influence on where the market goes in the morning, but there's not much going on tomorrow. Okay. And so what I plan on doing, okay, if this move happens, if we just so happen to get upside heading into tomorrow or even anytime this week before the next major drop, I am loading the boat on puts. I will be alerting Discord to load the boat on puts. We're gonna go insane. Right now, we are 3-0 for the week. We took profit on SOXL. We took profit on AMD. We took profit on SPY as well. So I keep telling you guys, we rarely lose in the Discord. Link is in the description below. And if you want the next big play, I suggest you join. All right. But other than that, I mean, that's what I'm expecting. I still expect a move to 422. If we look at unusual whales, right, and we look at the SPY, it's a mixture of puts and calls. You got 500 puts, you got 506 calls, you got 505 calls. So there's a lot of mixture of things, and it doesn't really surprise me because we've been seeing that all through the market, right? We see SPY take a dump, bulls buy it back up, takes another dump, bulls buy it right back up. Very volatile movement across the board. And for the like past week, anytime we got a significant movement towards the end of the day or even the next day, it's like that move never even happened. Okay. So it wouldn't surprise me that tomorrow we just start seeing a lot of volatility. It is Wednesday, and that's normally when, things start to really get to moving across the market. So, most significant contracts I'm looking at is the 510 calls, and all of these expire. Well, majority of these expire for the 17th, which is tomorrow. It's the 510 calls for the upside, and we'll get into that in a bit. And then as far as the downside, the lowest I'm seeing is, well, 497, or the lowest I'm seeing that's actually significant to me is 497 puts, and they expire tomorrow as well. So that just shows me that we could be looking at either direction, or even institutions are unsure. They can either be hedging their positions or they just aren't absolutely sure on what's going to happen as far as the market goes. So, very interesting. Okay. So, I would say pretty much tread lightly. And if we just so happen to get that retest, right? And let's zoom out real quick. Okay. If we just so happen to get that retest, maybe we get a bounce off here, this area here. Maybe we head towards this. First, let's go over the downside. Okay, let's go over the potential downside we're looking at here. So you guys see that we're pretty much at the bottom of this trend line, and we're pretty much on top of this 4-hour supply and demand zone, which is about 403.2. And it's great that we closed above this. It's absolutely great. And what I was saying in the Discord is 504.58 has been acting like a magnet, okay? And that's where the dark pool level is, okay? It's been acting like a magnet all day. Every time we get some type of decent upside, we just go right back there. And every time we get some downside, we go right back to 504.58 range, okay? So that's showing me one or two things. Either we're, and let's go to a smaller time frame so you can get a better idea. So that's showing me one or two things. We're consistently just breaking through it and we're trying to turn it into butter. If you remember what I was talking about as far as in Q and that 17,008, wait, no, not 17,000, 18,500 level and how it's butter, we could be looking at the same scenario here where, whoa, what was that? But we could be looking at the same scenario here where we're constantly breaking through it over and over and trying to turn it into butter. That way, if all these contracts do decide to play out tomorrow, we just go through it over and over. Okay, so either market makers are trying to break that level down so that we can have, both upside and downside, or they're just indecisive. Okay, so I'm leaning towards the whole, breaking it down and turning it into butter and making that level insignificant. As far as upside, you want to see a break into 507.10. Okay. 507.10. You can say 506.1 as well because we did reject that area. But me, I'm more so looking at the supply and demand zone right here. We break back into this, then I think we're just heading towards 510.3. So, ideal move that I am looking at as far as a retest to the upside is one of these moves and before the next leg down. And you guys should know by now that my price target on the SPY is still 495, following my swing trade strategy. Okay, so we could be looking at something like this where we retest this trend before the next potential leg down. Okay, which is pretty ironic, right? So this trend pretty much ends at about 511, and like I said on Unusual Wells, and that we'll get back to this, the most significant or the most significant cause or highest strike point that we're looking at is, if I can find it, is 510. Okay, so pretty coincidental, right? So that's what I'm looking at if we do get some type of relief bounce heading into tomorrow. As far as if we open up red, okay, if we just open up and the market is just automatically down or whatever the case may be, maybe we, somewhat gap down, maybe we get some news overnight, whatever the case may be. I don't see much downside, at least for the morning, okay? So we can head as low as about 500, 501, maybe even 497, okay, maybe before we get that relief bounce, okay? Before we get some type of relief bounce, maybe sometime in the afternoon. I'm more so leaning for the first option, and I know that sounds biased because I am in calls, but I think that makes more sense. I really do. I would like for that because I would like to re-enter. So something like this, and then we head towards 495. Okay, so that's the ideal move that I am looking at as far as the SPY. As far as if we're seeing downside in the morning, then we get a retest, and I'm telling you guys now again, if we get this move, no matter what way it happens, if we get this move, I am going absolutely insane on puts. I'm telling you guys this now. I'm going to be alerting the Discord. So again, you might want to join the Discord, okay? But those are the scenarios that I'm looking at as far as the spot. Okay. As far as downside goes, you guys keep seeing it. We keep projecting 502.8 over and over. 502.8. So you break below that, then chances are you're heading towards 501. And it makes sense, right? Because I told you guys, you look at unusual wells, the most significant is you got 500 puts, but those expire for next week. So, and then where is I always lose these. Yeah, so here it is. 500 puts that expire tomorrow with a 9 million premium. So pretty interesting, right? Pretty interesting. So if you think patterns don't work, I mean, it shows you on unusual wells that when you hit a trend, that's when the action starts happening, when these institutions start buying or selling, right? So and even these supply and demand zones, if you just think these don't work, right? So pretty interesting, right? So those are the scenarios that I'm pretty much looking at as far as the spy. Triple Qs. Triple Qs, I'm pretty much looking at the same thing. I mean, you zoom out, you see this pattern, we broke below it, we have yet to retest it, right? So if we go on unusual wells, it's pretty much the same scenario, right? We go on unusual wells, you just see calls and puts across the board. Let's scroll over real quick. See the premiums. So you got 432, calls expiring tomorrow. Pretty high premium, 16 million premium. I know you guys don't actually can't actually see the premiums, but it's there. But and then the highest you can see is about 436 calls expiring tomorrow. So if you look at where 436 is right at the supply and demand zone. So I keep telling you guys, this is what institutions trade. This is what the big guys trade. They trade supply and demand zones. They don't trade support and resistance and all that stuff. Okay, they trade supply and demand zones. And as you guys can see, the supply and demand zone is at 436. Okay, so we can go as high as 436, which will be my expectations. We probably can retest 440 again if I'm being like super optimistic as far as upside goes. Okay. But as far as downside goes, heading into tomorrow, and we look at unusual wells, you got 427 puts expiring tomorrow, 425 puts, those expire next week. But as far as tomorrow, the lowest you're looking at is about 425. All right, so pretty interesting there as well. And all of those, majority of those expire tomorrow. And if you look where the bottom of the supply and demand zone is, it's about at 423.8. Okay. So again, really interesting, right? And this is what institutions trade. So heading into tomorrow, I'm expecting some type of retest. I am. All right. I am expecting a retest. I would like it to happen early in the morning. If it doesn't happen and we just immediately maybe gap down or drop in the morning, whatever the case may be, I don't think it's going to be much. I would say about 427.5 is what I'm looking at. That is really ugly. 427.5 is what I'm looking at. And then we get some upside. Okay. Now, remember I tell you guys all the time that wicks tell you a story. Okay. So the another reason why I'm expecting more so this move to happen versus the other move is because buyers are very strong here. If we take these guys out, I imagine we're going to drop pretty hard. Okay, I imagine and I could be wrong here. Okay, I could be absolutely wrong, and maybe we just hit 427, and immediately these buyers just step back in, and they're like, "Nah, we're not ready yet." Okay, that can happen. It happens all the time. If we get rid of these bears at around 434, we could see a move. I mean, as high as 440. That is on the table. I'm being more so humble, and I'm gonna say 436. But regardless, between 436, if we get between 436 and 440, please believe that I am going to load up puts. Okay, because my price target on triple Qs is 422, and my price target on SPY is 495. After 495 on the SPY, you're pretty much looking at what is it, 492. Okay, I had to remember that off heart or off the top of my head. So that is what I'm looking at as far as downside. Now, if you're bullish and you're looking for upside, you want to see it hold above 439. After that, you're looking at a move towards 440, which is a very tight range. I mean, there's a lot going on here, guys. We need like really good news to even think to be bullish again, right? But if we want to be bullish, right? After you break 439, you're looking at a move towards 443. And after 443, you want to get rid of these guys up here at around 440, between 445, 447. All right. Uh, and that's it, really. That's it as far as, upside. Okay. But as you guys can see, you need news. Okay. You need really good news to come in. So be on the lookout for news if you're just extremely bullish. But right now, I think we're looking at a retest before the next major leg down. All right. SPY, again, as far as the upside goes, you just want to see a break back above after supply and demand zone at around 511. You break above 511, then you're heading as high as about 514, 515 range. You break above 516, then you are heading towards 520. Okay, we'll say 518 to be safe, but you can head towards 518. You stop these guys out, they're probably going to panic out their position. Hopefully, you guys can see that. These bears in their position, you're probably going to stop them out their position, and then you're just going to head towards 520. But in order for me to be really bullish on the SPY or somewhat bullish on the SPY again, I would like to see a move towards 522 and see some type of reaction there. All right. That's really all I have as far as the SPY and triple Qs. I know it's kind of long winded and everything, but really wanted to get you guys to understand the potential situation that could happen tomorrow in case you're confused on what's happening today or what happened today, which wasn't really anything. NVIDIA. So there's like two semiconductors that have earnings out this week, I believe. I think TSM has earning this week. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was definitely wrong on that. All right. Somebody has earnings this week. It's a semiconductor that has earnings this week. And then I believe Netflix has earnings this week as well. Now, I don't think Netflix is going to influence NVIDIA, but it's pretty interesting, right? So, one thing I want to point out with NVIDIA is this is kind of bugging me because Nvidia is already retesting. All right. And if Nvidia gets above, wow, it is at 878.94 after hours. So I was about to say, if Nvidia gets above 875, then we could be looking at more upside, and we could be looking at a move towards 890. And right now it's at 878.94. So that's yeah. All right. So there's some hope there for some more upside in the market if the market decides to follow Nvidia again, right? So that is my expectations for Nvidia. If we manage to hold above 875 at market open, then I'm looking at a move towards 890. You get above these guys right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. You get above these guys here at around 906, then you're going back to 924. You're trying to retest 924 at that point. All right. They're going to panic out their position. They're going to stop out, and then you're hitting the top of the supply and demand zone at that point. If you just so happen to get above 906, I would say personally 910 to be really safe because Nvidia. I mean, we've seen Nvidia get above 905 and seen exactly what happens after that. It just gave it all back, and the market plummeted. So that's what I'm looking at as far as Nvidia's upside. So what's bothering me right now is this candle, the way these candles are. Okay, remember I tell you guys, candles and wicks tell you a story. These candles are bothering me because you see strong. Okay, we wouldn't say strong, but somewhat strong. This one got stronger, weaker, and this one is looking weak, more weak as well. So that's pretty concerning. Okay, where if this candle just doesn't get at least above 880, and it is after hours, so maybe we're speaking too soon, we could be looking at a move like this. We're already retesting the bottom of this pattern, so we could be looking at a move like that. But we'll have to see it at open. Okay. As far as downside goes on Nvidia, I mean, price target still remains the same. 823. Okay, nothing's changed. I still think Nvidia is going to head to 823, which is at the top of the supply and demand zone, this 4 hour supply and demand zone. And there's a gap right here at 823. Lowest Nvidia can go, and the lowest target I have is 740. Okay. I know it sounds crazy, but if you've been following my channel, I've called pretty crazy targets and all of them hit. I haven't seen one that hasn't hit yet. Okay. So be on the lookout for that as far as Nvidia. My price target on Nvidia is 823. I took profit on that YOLO play. 800 puts I showed you guys in the last video. So yeah, congratulations to me. Didn't make much off of it. It wasn't nothing crazy, but still, profit is profit, right? So that's what I'm looking at as far as Nvidia. Whatever semiconductors have earnings this week, feel free to look it up. I imagine if those like tank, then the market's probably gonna go with it. Also, imagine if in Netflix tanks, then yeah, that could be bad. I think Netflix will set a standard. Actually, I was looking at Netflix today. So let me, what's this ticker? We'll just type in Netflix. So I was looking at Netflix like yesterday, and my strategy is showing me, and it does have earnings, and earnings is 50-50. Earnings is 100% a gamble. As you guys can see, I've already set up a price target. So Netflix has been running like crazy. Okay, running like crazy. I have a price target of Netflix to 575. It has earnings on Thursday, I believe. Yeah, Thursday morning, Thursday night. What is going on? But Netflix has earnings, yeah, Thursday night or Thursday after hours. So that is something to look out for. And Netflix is also retesting here as well. So that is concerning for how we could potentially open up in the morning. Now, we could, you know, gap up and then go down. But yes, I think Netflix is going to tank for its earnings. I don't think they're going to have bad earnings, but I think there's potential for Netflix to tank because I think we've already priced in good earnings. Okay. But earnings is 50-50. You can get IV crushed. I can be right, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean it has to happen on earnings. It can happen after earnings. This move here, okay, to 575. So that's my price target on Netflix. I don't talk about it enough, so I'm not going to start now. But other than that, that's what I am looking at. So that's what I'm looking at as far as the overall market. If you want to look at ES and kind of get like a gauge or an idea, 50-80 is your key level. So 50-90 is a decent level, but 50-80 is the level you want to look out for. We break below 50-80, we can head as low as 50-40. Okay, so be on the lookout for those key levels as far as the ES, which is essentially the SPY. Other than that, guys, that's really all I have. Again, if we retest the upside, I am 100% like I'm loading the boat if we get that retest. Okay, if we get this beautiful retest, and obviously the higher the better. If we get all the way to 440, I will be absolutely excited. Okay, I'm gonna go over Bitcoin real quick. I don't think I went over Bitcoin. Bitcoin's showing the same thing. I mean, everything's showing that they're retesting these patterns, except for triple Qs and the SPY. They haven't retested the bottom of their trends yet, so I mean, be on the lookout for it. Bitcoin, I mean, there's not much to go over here. Bitcoin breaks above 65,000. There's some hope for some more upside. It can reclaim 67,000 after that, but until Bitcoin gets above 74K, 75K, if you want to be safe, I have nothing to talk about. As far as downside, it breaks below 60K. You're looking at a move towards 57.5 range, and that's pretty much it. I will start making crypto videos after the halving and what I'm going to start investing in and things like that. We already took profit in the Discord on majority of our crypto plays, so why people are buying crypto before the halving is pretty crazy to me. But you never know. Maybe they get lucky, and this year the halving is completely different. But history shows that the halving Bitcoin absolutely plummets. I have a price target on Bitcoin all the way down to 52K. So be on the lookout for that potential price target. Other than that, that's all I have, guys. Hopefully, you guys something got this video. Discord link is in the description below. We do stocks, crypto, forex, all that fun stuff. And until the next video, have a good one, traders.